Hello. All right. Should be live. Hmm. Okay. Hi, sisters. Just tuning in. If you're here on the live, please say hello. I'd love to know who's here. Mhm. All right. Beautiful. Okay. Hey, Jenny. Hi, beautiful sister. Hi, sister. So happy you're here. So I'm just tuning in. So today I'm going to be answering some questions that have come through in the Ask the Oracle thread in Sophianic Leap. And then I'll also be tuning in to see if there are any questions here that you all would like to contribute and ask. So yeah, I'm just going to get into it. So I feel like it's amazing, the medicine. Today I was talking about trusting divine timing. So in the transmission today in Sophianic Leap, um, yeah, I was bringing in a transmission around trusting the divine timing of your um, your feminine channel and your flow and not forcing or pushing or rushing things. And so I sent that and I felt so good about it. And then it was so oh, hi Belinda. Hi sister. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. So yeah, so it's funny, right? Because I'm like, trust the divine timing, don't force or push anything, allow your feminine to flow. And then, like, right after I sent that transmission, I got an update that one of the calls that I had scheduled um, was actually scheduled for the time that I was supposed to do this live today. And I was like, oh shit. And then like I had another follow-up call after that. Like I had a group call and then I had a single call. And so I'm like, well, I'll just have to, push my live back. It's no big deal, right? I don't usually change calls unless something comes up like that. But I'm like, well, this is good medicine, right? To just like flow with it and trust the timing. And so so I let the group know, like, you guys know, hey, I'm actually going to go live at 6. So then I went on my live call at like 3, and then like 10 minutes into the call, my mentor who was running the call, an emergency came up and she had to leave. And everything's okay, but it was just like a freak kind of emergency, and she had to pop off the call. And then I was like, oh wow, so fascinating, like how things kind of turned in. But I was like, well, what do I really need right now? And I was like, I really need to take a nap. We got up really early this morning. I was up really late. I didn't sleep a lot, and we drove today and we've made it here. We're in the mountains. We're up 7,000 feet right now. So the altitude is a lot different. And my body was like, sleep. I'm like, well, this would be better anyway for me to sleep and have some rest under my belt before I bring through these transmissions. So I just wanted to share that because it's hilarious. Um, okay. So I'm going to get started with these questions. And if you have any while I'm sharing, please feel free to drop it in the comments if you're here live, and I will respond. So I'm also just going to speak into some of the themes. I've been receiving a lot of private messages from sisters who are in Sophianic Leap, they're having experiences, things are coming up for them. A lot happens when we quantum shift, when we claim the higher timeline, when we claim that identity of who we are, everything that's not us is going to fall away. And so we have to be able to hold space for that and really remember, okay, I claimed this. I'm ready for that higher reality because things happen on such a quantum level that our brain can't understand. So when you shift your identity, miracles and magic and things just come in and happen when you're aligned and you're working in the trust and faith of being so connected to that deep connection you have to yourself, to God, and really allowing that to flow through. So when we're moving through this, it's so important to like really honor our needs and like ask ourselves, like, what do I need right now? And today I was like, I need to rest, and it's all good. So, okay, we're gonna get into it. So, the first thing that I wanted to speak into to kind of set the tone for today was a question I received from Angela. And she wanted to know, she said, you always mention God said. How do you perceive the guidance of God? When you say, God said, I should go here and do this, how do you receive the guidance and know it's from God and not from your mind or other things? Do you hear a voice in your head, or do you receive an idea just like that? Or do you feel it in your body? I so deeply feel the longing to live from the surrender of following God's will with my soul's organic journey, but I don't know how to receive it. So far, I've asked, but have not heard or felt. So I'm really grateful that she's asked this question because this is um, this is like the foundation that we need to build when we are leading from a space of the feminine and surrendering into divine will, is being able to distinguish the voice of God versus the voice of the ego. And what I will first say is that this is the path of mastery. And it has taken, I mean, I've been devoted, like, this has been my entire life devotion for the last, 5 years now of completely being devoted to my reclamation and my spiritual awakening journey and my journey as a medicine woman. And so I've gone, recently one of my mentors said to me, she's like, you've taken the fast track and that can be really challenging, but you're on the fast track, and that's why everything's happening so quickly. And um when we're distinguishing the voice, it takes practice and it takes devotion and it takes being curious. So the first thing that I want to say is like, how do I know that it's the guidance of God? It's because of years of distinguishing when it's my mind responding from a trauma response or a program, and identifying that, and then also of knowing what my higher self feels like when my higher self is guiding me. So originally, I started building a relationship with my higher self. And that was really beautiful and really important because my higher self, which is, your intuition, they're interchangeable here. How you distinguish your intuition and when you get an intuitive nudge, that is, your higher self communicating to you in a way that you can understand. So things happen to me in a very magical shamanic way because that's who I am on a soul level. So it might not show up in the same degree for other sisters, for other people, and they're going to have their intuitive knowing. Like my partner is very claircognizant. He just knows. He just knows. Like that's one of his really strong psychic abilities. For me, it's a felt sense, but I also have claircognizance too. So some psychic senses can be stronger, but really, when you know how your higher self communicates to you, then what you're really doing is you're opening up the channel for God to communicate to your higher self and allow God's voice to come through your higher self. And that's how I receive. And the other thing that's really important about this is developing an authentic connection with the Holy Mother and with the Holy Father. So if you don't have a connection with Holy Mother, Holy Father, with Christ, Sophia, with the feminine, and the masculine, right? Christ, as we know, is the masculine emanation of God, and Sophia is the feminine emanation. And God is the one true living God source, is the source of all life, of all creation. God is infinite. The universe is infinite, right? However you want to, connect. But when I started building a deep, authentic connection with God, not with even my higher self anymore, but when I just started tending to my relationship with Holy Mother Sophia and with God and with the Christ, that is when the voice of God became so clear. And so this process that I have gone through, I take women through this journey in many of my medicine containers that I hold around developing the relationship with God. And being able to feel God. And I walk you through a process of inviting the Holy Father in, feeling the Holy Father's presence, connecting, bridging that, to your heart, and then understanding Sophia and connecting with Sophia. And so it's a very personal experience. Your relationship with God is so personal and beautiful and authentic and natural to you. And when we have this foundation, we will learn how God speaks to us. And my, suggestion, if there are any of you listening and tuning into this, that you're not able to distinguish the voice of God from your own higher, like from your ego or from your mind or from a traumatized heart, right? And a non-integrated aspect that's operating from trauma. Um, it's really about intending to build an authentic relationship with God and knowing God as a friend, as a cosmic parent, as your true holy father, as your true holy mother, and coming home and building this relationship and asking, God, I want to know your voice. Can you guide me on how I can receive you more easily? And asking the questions like that, because when you come into surrender and you give your devotion to God and really come into a space of like surrendering your ego to God and surrendering it all to divine will, God will communicate with you in ways that you can understand, and God will answer your prayers. This is just how it works. It's through fearless devotion and a willingness to actively work on the relationship. So when I say God said, it's because God's communicating to me. And I'm always communicating with God all the time. Like every day when I wake up in the morning, that's my prayer. And before I do this live, I said a prayer for God. I mean, you guys know in my spaces, I always say, God, please speak through me, move through me, flow through me. And I say that because I've built such a strong connection with my connection to God that it just flows through. And I don't need to do anything, um, because I've spent years working on building that relationship. And um, it comes through in many different senses, it comes through all of my different psychic abilities, and I'm I'm a medicine woman, right? So I work in the different realms all the time, and I'm holding containers for women. And so my finger, like I'm always tuned in to the unseen realms. And so it's natural for me to just receive when God is like, hey, I need you to do this, because it will build and it'll come in, over and over again. And the thread will be weaving for me. So that's how I weave with God. Like that's how God and I co-create together, is we weave medicine. That's who I am. And God knows that. So we weave together. So really knowing yourself too, and knowing, who you are as a being and how you co-create with the divine and how God speaks to you through your own life experiences. Um, and just getting curious around how God sees you and how God wants to, co-create with you. And, a lot of women and people in general have, wounds around wanting to, come home to God, or even that word God can trigger a lot of people. And, I'm not talking about the false God, religious God. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the incredibly loving, divine, Holy Mother, Holy Father, God source who provides and loves and offers miracles. So, sister, I invite, all of you who are kind of tuning into this to just know that the deeper that you go in building your relationship with God's source, with the Holy Father and the Holy Mother, with the Christ Sophia energy, your life will change in miraculous ways. I was in false light. I was in a lot of like spiritual groups and all kinds of stuff. And I was building my relationship with my higher self and trusting myself, but I still didn't trust God all the way because I wasn't actively building a connection and a relationship with God. And when I did that, my entire life changed. Entire life changed. And so this is the foundation of my work, and the foundation of Sanctuary of Sophia is bringing women home to God. Because when you are home with God in your heart and you're co-creating, you become a conscious, sovereign creator. And that's exactly what we're doing here with co-creating the new earth, is we are literally birthing new realities because we're conscious, responsible, sovereign co-creators. And we're not operating from our ego. We're operating from our God source avatar because we're in connection with God. And that is the way forward. And that's what I'm holding space for. So I hope that answers your question. I feel like, there's so much to go into, but that's what's coming through around that. So, yeah, if you're here live, let me know how this is landing for you, if that speaks to you. And yeah, just so many blessings, coming home to God and developing that authentic relationship and just claiming that and intending that, it will happen when you're devoted to it. But if you're not actively doing it, it's like a muscle. If you're not actively doing it, then it's not going to build. And if your heart is shut off from it, then it's going to be a lot harder. So, really opening your heart to that. Okay. So, the next question that I wanted to speak into is from our beautiful sister Diane, who wanted to ask the difference between Sophianic medicine and practices of Magdalene. And I love that she brought this in. The Magdalene energy is so alive for me right now personally. So it's beautiful. It's right on time. And yeah, she says when she tunes into the Magdalene timelines, there's a lot of distortion, betrayal, and wounding, but Sophianic medicine feels much more aligned for her. And is there a difference, or is it related to a shift in consciousness or awareness? Yeah, and then I see she watched the Grail Queen transmission, which explains some of it. So, yeah, the this is a beautiful question. So, I will give you my personal gnosis. I this is such a personal experience, right? And there are so many threads weaving in with this type of work that we're doing. So when I speak about Sophianic medicine, this and how it's been downloaded to me and what I'm sort of teaching and leading, and I've even been seeing this a lot more of more and more women, as because I've been sharing this and downstepping this Sophianic medicine woman, like this is Sophianic medicine, for the last few years now. And I remember I was working with someone a few years back. She's like, nobody knows what Sophianic medicine is. You can't talk about it. Nobody knows what that is. And I was like, but God's guiding me to talk about it. It's what's coming, and I'm going to talk about it. So it's just really interesting. So more of it is becoming, more out there in this space, but it's still very it's an ancient medicine. So Sophianic medicine, it is the shamanic medicine of the Holy Mother, Sophia. So Sophia is the feminine aspect of God, and Sophia has many different bloodlines and lineages that are holding templates, solar feminine templates and coding and gifts and all kinds of beautiful things, right? And so Sophia is the solar feminine Christ energy. So as you all know, we don't work with the lunar consciousness or the lunar matrix in this space. This is a solar feminine space. And so Sophia has many different bloodlines, and she has, we'll say, leaders of her bloodline, and those are the Grail Queens, like White Buffalo Calf Woman. And I'm a leader of her lineage. That's why I was guided to go to the Badlands and do all that work. And I've gone through my own initiation, which is really has officially come to a close now that we're on our way out of New Mexico. And so these bloodlines, they hold different keys, different templates, and a template in the light body is it's like, think of it as like a blueprint of like holding certain gifts and teachings and just like a soul signature expression, right? So like you guys know, if you were to look at my templates, you would say, okay, that she has a, Sophianic medicine woman template. She has a White Buffalo Calf woman template. She has a songstress template. She has a sisterhood template. She has a queen template. Like, she has leadership templates, right? So like those types of things, right? The things that make up your soul and who you are. And so Sophianic energies are, think of it as like distributed through the different bloodlines. So we have, of course, Solar Christ Mary, who is Mother Mary, and that is a bloodline. And then we have Isis Sophia, and the Isis Sophia lineage is a bloodline and has her own, medicine, right? Um, and I use medicine for like gifts, right? And like that's just how I relate to like magic is medicine. So, and then we have, of course, White Buffalo Calf Woman. We have Cleopatra. We have Mary Magdalene. We have Joan of Arc. We have, oh my gosh, my cat's going crazy right now. Um, so we have all of these different Grail queens. We have Moana of Hawaii, and we have Sarah, daughter of Jesus. So there are all these different bloodlines. We also have Danu, who is, the Irish goddess. And so these are all different bloodlines, and they all hold different wisdom and teaching, like mystery school teachings and codes. And so they're multidimensional bloodlines. And so they we hold them. So there are many of us, and a lot of you who come into my space, you're holding these bloodlines. That's why you resonate with me. And because Sanctuary of Sophia is a sisterhood of the Grail lineages, the Rose lineage, that is what Sanctuary of Sophia is holding space for. So there are these multidimensional lineages, and they go by so many different names and how they show up and how they um, show up. And there's so many different formats of that, and like ways that they manifest. And when I talk about Mary Magdalene, I'm talking about like Mary Magdalene Sophia, the true Sophianic Grail Queen, Yeshua's divine counterpart. And she is holding the Sophia energy, right? And so when we connect with Magdalene, we want to make sure that we're connecting with, and this is my experience. Okay. So when I connect with a Grail Queen, and I actually brought this through in the transmission the other day of how do I connect with a Grail Queen and know that she's not a false light being? And it's like, because we say in full service and devotion to the one true living God. I deeply desire to connect with Mary Magdalene who is in full service and devotion to the one true living God, Mary Magdalene Sophia. And that instantly will connect you to the true frequency of Mary Magdalene, Sophia, because there are so many Mary Magdalene distortions out there, especially those that have been entangled with the lunar consciousness and lunar matrix programming and lunar fallen goddess codes, and which the lunar matrix is, it's the inversion of the solar. It's the solar torn apart. And so that's when we go into like dark mother energy and the dark mother consciousness, and which is the inversion of Sophia. And the dark mother hates Sophia. And so there are a lot of things out there that, yeah, the timelines are messy because they have been distorted, right? So tuning into the true Mary Magdalene, Sophia, because she is a holder of Sophianic medicine, the true Mary Magdalene, the keeper of the rose, the rose lineage, the red woman, right? So it's about tuning into the frequency of the those Grail queens, those beloved sisters. And I see the Grail queens as my sisters. That's how they've always come to me. And that's how, they're all guardians of Sanctuary of Sophia. They all hang out in the sanctuary all the time because it's their home. It's the home of the Holy Mother. So all of her daughters are in there, which are all of the Grail Queens. And so for me, I have this sisterhood relationship with the queens, and it isn't like a hierarchy. It's literally like a sister to sister experience, because when you're a part of these lineages, the truth of the lineage is there is no hierarchy. And while there may be leaders, that doesn't mean that one sister has more power than another. It's just that not everyone is meant to lead in the same way. Not everyone has the same blueprints and gifts to hold certain things, you know? So if you're feeling resonant with Sophionic medicine, if you're here and you resonate with me, it's because you're a match to it. And what I've noticed is that with women who are really aligned with me and they're like, wow, everything is resonating. And when I sing, it's like their whole world shifts after I sing and work with them. It's because they're holding the Grail lines and they're a match to it. And when you're holding the lineage and you're holding these codes and you're sharing, and like we hold similar templates and we hold like we're of the same lineage. Like I hold the Mary Magdalene lineage very deeply. I hold a lot of the Grail Queen lineages. And so if you're holding that and you're resonating, it's because you're holding those lineages. A lot of times women are like, how do I know, if I'm holding, if I have these lineages in my DNA, in my soul's blueprint? And what I always say is it's a felt experience. It's an inner knowing that you just know, and you could feel it almost like cellular chills, like your cellular memory will respond. And then what you're drawn to, if you're drawn into this space, if you're drawn into these teachings, that is an indicator, a very strong indicator that you're holding the lineages. And then welcome home. And there's a beautiful sacred journey of remembering ahead of you. And I'm still on it. I've been waking up to this for 4 years now, and I'm still unlocking my codes from the Rose lineage, from the Sophionic lineages. Like, I'm still unlocking them. And this is what I want to say about this. When we go into like a mystery school teaching, because I will tell you right now, all of my stuff that I do in Sanctuary of Sophia, it's mystery school. It's just not, that wording is not aligned. Like it's been sort of, it just doesn't resonate with the sanctuary. But a lot of the work I do in there, and a lot of you are in, a lot of you are in that space with me right now. You're in the sanctuary. So when you come into the sanctuary, you're entering into a temple, and the mysteries will unlock within you, because that's what the sanctuary is designed to hold. So when you begin to really connect to the Sophionic energies, there's such a deep homecoming that happens, because your light body and your keys and your codes will start to unlock, and they'll start to guide you. And that's why coming into a container is so powerful because it's like it holds you through the whole thing and it supports the process. And so I'm really excited. I have a really incredible thing I'm going to be sharing tomorrow inside Sophionic Leap. That, yeah, is just going to be really fun. I think y'all are going to resonate with it a lot after this conversation and just kind of tuning into this. But um, so it's an invitation. And for me, a big part of my mission is helping women remembering their wisdom, remembering their story, and remembering their connection to Sophia and to the Grail, to the Holy Grail, to the Grail lineages. And that is literally like what the sanctuary was built for. And Sophia has always shared with me that a lot of women are going to be coming in that don't have any memory, just like me. I didn't have any memory. And then it started coming back when I was really devoted to my practice, and it started coming in. So it's a beautiful homecoming. It's opening up deeper layers of your soul and your own medicine and your magic and what you're here to create and who you are on a soul level. And is there anything better then remembering who you are on a soul level and unlocking your wisdom. Like those of you know, I'm in a really deep shamanic dieta right now, and things are unlocking for me so deeply. And I'm remembering aspects of myself that have not been ready to come in. And that's the thing, like we have to trust the timing of when the codes are ready to unlock, because with a lot of our wisdom and our personal medicine teachings and what we're here to share and to lead in any format, um, just in our lives, doesn't have to be in like a business kind of way, but just in our lives in general and how we lead ourselves. We have to be able to be at a certain level of emotional and spiritual maturity to be able to hold those codes and to be able to wield the power that comes with them. And so we have to demonstrate to our higher self and to God that we are capable to hold that frequency and to be able to hold that containment of those codes, because these energies are so precious and so sacred. And it's like you wouldn't give the keys to the queendom to a 5-year-old, you know? We have to remember, and we're all going through amnesia. We're all remembering together of like who we actually are and what we're doing here. We're all waking up, we've been deep asleep. We all agreed to be deep asleep when we arrived, and we're unfolding together as a sisterhood. And when we weave together, that's when things really start to come in, because when you can come into a space where women are able to see you and it feels safe to share your memories and your really magical experiences that nobody would ever believe but are happening to you, it just anchors it in and it allows you to embody who you really are. So, thank you, Sister Diane, for that question. And thank you for bringing that into this space. And I just appreciate you asking, because it's a really important question. And yeah, I'm just grateful. So I'm just gonna check the chat, and if anybody has any questions, there are no more questions in the thread. So if there are any questions, I'll stay on and respond for a little bit before I hop off. Jenny says, I'm so grateful to have come into connection with this Sophianic medicine women's circle. It feels more in alignment than other shamanic practices I have participated in the past. Oh, sister, I'm so glad to hear that. And I'm so glad you're here. We find our way. We find our way to these spaces, right? It's so beautiful how we can come together. And it's really interesting because I hold a training, a 4-month, a very deep initiation training into the White Buffalo Calf Woman lineage. It's a 4-month Sophianic medicine woman journey of initiation. And I teach you all these practices. I teach you how to do shamanic field work and oracle work and ceremonial work and ritual. And we have ceremony, and I mean, this 4-month journey, it just ended about a month ago. And the next one starts in July, and it's going to be so epic. Um, but a lot of women, like, they come in, they're like shamanically, like the shamanic practices out there just don't resonate. And so I want to say, like, I resisted for a long time holding a shamanic training journey because of how I was taught. And I was like, I don't want to do it like that. And then eventually, basically, when I got to the Badlands, right when that was opening up, Sophia was like, Alasia, it's part of your destiny and your leadership to train women in our lineage. So I need you to get on board. And I was like, okay, I guess I got to let this go. But then I held this incredible initiation, and it was, yeah, and I've never felt more at home teaching women how to do Sophianic medicine healing and shamanic practices and holding space and all that for that is just like is my jam. Like that's literally what I was born to do. So remember, the things that you resist the most are often there's treasures for you there. The things that our deepest wounds are where we're most targeted. So a lot of times if we have a lot of resistance towards something, um, it just shows us that there's a lot there that's ready to dissipate, and to like lean into it, because I was resisting that for so long. And now I'm like, it's like the most fun journey. I love holding it. And I'm so excited to hold it again and to initiate more women into the lineage because there isn't anything out there for Sophianic medicine women in this way to be trained shamanically with Sophia. Because everything that I've seen out there, it's all about moon worship and lunar consciousness and all of that. So, yeah. Anyway. Oh, hi, Larissa. So good to see you, sister. Congratulations. I saw your email today about your new space opening. I just wanted to congratulate you, my love. That's amazing. Lots of light language coming in for you while you're speaking. Oh, yay. I love that. Shikaya mokuskiana kiarariana wati karakara kotiashkiana koiana. Mm. Belinda says, how do you surrender and let go and trust yourself more deeply? And do they create blocks for you? Mm. Do what create blocks for you? Can you elaborate on that, sweetheart? Um, yeah, how do you surrender and let go and trust yourself more deeply? Mm. So, great question. Mm. Okay, I'm gonna just tune in here to see what my womb wants to say about this because there's so much to say. So I'm just gonna tune in with my womb. Mm. Mm. Ariama na miyamaru rasanai. Surrender, it's an art form. It's literally about giving it all up to God, to divine will, and letting go of trying to control and recognizing that the more we try to control things that are sorry, my cat, I'm like in trance and he like jumped up and okay. Okay. So let me try to get back in. Kuyama. Right. So releasing control is something that can happen a lot easier when you are in that authentic connection with God and you know no matter what God provides for you and you are always taken care of and that changing your perspective of things are always working out for me. So if I let this go, I know that something is going to come in that's even better. And knowing that a big part of reclamation and empowerment and like empowering yourself through that is about having the courage to let go and give it all to God and to allow yourself to then just kind of like slip into the slipstream of the river. And so this is also working with the parts that are trying to control because your higher self isn't trying to control. It's a part of you. And you guys know I do a lot of parts work. So like there's a part of you that's trying to control. And oftentimes that part that's trying to control is a wounded part. It can often be like a wounded child trying to control because that's how they kept themselves safe. And I really relate to this a lot because I have had to let go of a lot of control and I had perfectionist tendencies and was very much like type A control, right? The event planner archetype, all of that stuff. So um, it's about noticing the parts of you that are really seeking to control and sitting with them and holding space for what they are trying to say. Why are you trying to control? What about this doesn't feel safe? And oftentimes it's because they feel abandoned by God, and they don't feel supported. And so this is the opportunity then to come in and reparent ourselves and be the divine mother and hold space for the part that's trying to control and not deny their reality or gaslight them either, but just really see them and hold space and know that, as we live, as we move into the new earth paradigm reality, a lot of the we're going to be in the present and we're going to be living from the heart and things are going to happen that don't make sense that we can't control and we don't want to control it because if we try to control it, what we're doing is we're putting a cap on what's possible and we're keeping ourselves small. So if we try to control the wildness of our feminine or the wildness that like wants to like just be free and surrender because it's easier of like, okay, I shared a little bit about this in the Telegram channel today of like, I had to surrender my timeline when I wanted to get my Ireland pilgrimage guidebook out. I wanted to get that out on the spring equinox and the energy just wasn't there for it. And it's like, okay, that didn't meet my expectation. And I had to like surrender my control and just trust, like, okay, whenever this is supposed to come in, it's going to come in. And then, the energy opened up. Anyway, I talk about it in the transmission, but it's like the only way I was really able to do that was because I sat with the part of myself that was trying to do that. And then I made her feel safe because I held space and let her know, hey, God's got us. We're on God's timeline here, not ours. And this is a time where we just got to trust that it's going to work out because it is. And when you hold the belief that things are always working out for you, then they do, right? But if you hold the belief that things don't work out and you have to control everything in order to be safe, then that's what's going to perpetuate. So it's like about unlocking these parts and dissolving, the beliefs that they're holding that just aren't in alignment with your true divine feminine blueprint. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, sister. Um, can holding on to control create more blocks for you? That's a great question. I think it can cause more discomfort um, and more pain. So I think blocks, yeah, I think it could cause if you're trying to control something and the more that you try to, it's like the more you try to control it. Have you ever seen Harry Potter and they're in the God, what movie is it? What book is it? Just relax. Oh, it's the first one. And they fall into this like vine trap on their way down. Um, and the only way that you get out is if you don't struggle. But if you struggle in the vines, they'll trap you even more. But if you just relax, you'll drop down through them. It's like that. Like, so the more you struggle, the harder it's going to be to get out, the harder it is to let go of control. But if you just drop down, it's going to be a lot easier. So hope that was helpful, my love. Thank you for asking that. Aw, Jenny, yes, I'm already making my plans for July. I will magnetize to provide for it. Yeah, sister, I so feel you in there. I have like no doubt in my mind that you're gonna be provided for the Sophianic medicine journey. I know. I just feel you in there. I feel you in there. And I have the sisters that were in the last round, they're coming back in. I offer that as an opportunity to come back in. So they're coming back in too. So it's gonna be a really amazing group of women. Yeah. Mhm. Yes, thank you. I'm learning to let go and trust and surrender. Is so helpful. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad, sister. And thank you for asking because this is really helpful medicine for all of us. And trust me, like letting go and surrendering, I had like it is a big initiation. And, but I was in a call recently with one of my mentors and she shared something with me that was really resonating. And as I was talking to her about one of my experiences, and she was telling me basically she had to like stop asking a certain question and had to like reframe to surrender into the process and just allow God to guide her. And that's how everything that she wanted came in. And that's usually how it works. That's why being so devoted to your connection to God and to like serving and like being of service and really like being the divine vessel that you are, all of your dreams will come true when you do that. It's a byproduct. when you devote yourself to like reclaiming your power and being a vessel of God, everything will come in to support you because your highest timeline is connected to you being in your power. And the ego isn't creating, those things. It's your God self, your source avatar, how your God self embodies in you. And when you can trust your God self too, and this is something I think this goes back to the first question of like, how do you know the voice of God? And it's like, I know my God self so well at this point in my journey of how my God self communicates things. I'm like, my God self wouldn't do that. Like, that's not how I work. That's not my flow, right? And even though I'm changing, evolving, like I know my soul signature so well that even though there's greater mysteries unlocking, the more a mystery that unlocks within me, the more I'm like, oh yeah, this is me. Like I know myself even better, but it just keeps building. So just really, yeah, knowing that it all comes together. It really does. It all comes together through the devotion. And not having to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Devotion is not perfectionism. It's about showing up and it's about being real, being honest, and just being transparent, really. So, all right. So, yeah, I will stay on for another minute or two if there's any other questions. But this has been so beautiful. Thank you so much for being here live with me. And I'm really excited. Tomorrow's the last day of Sophianic Leap. I'll be announcing the winner of the free session tomorrow. So, if you want to pop a testimonial into the testimonial thread from either what you received from this live or from the 6 days of transmissions in the Leap, you can put a testimonial there and you'll be entered to win the free session. And yeah, I'm also going to share something really, really special tomorrow with you guys in Leap. And I'm so excited about it. It's going to be so good. I like can't wait. I'm like, oh, could I share? And it's perfectly divine. It's really connected a lot to what we're talking about tonight. So, oh, hi, Missy. Oh my God. Hey, girl. It's so good to see your face on my phone. I love you, Missy. Aw. I've known Missy since I was 5 years old. She's amazing. She's an amazing woman. Um, mm. This is me coming into my power, my queen energy, and new identity, and reparenting myself or relearning. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that queen energy, that, she holds the space for herself, and she knows without a doubt that she's always provided for, and things just magnetize to her automatically because that's the queen. Like, of course, she gets what she wants. Of course, people treat her like a queen because she is one. Of course, things just naturally are gifted to her, and like these are the things to reprogram our minds with, right? So, thank you, sisters. Thank you so much for being here. I send you all my love and watch this space. Things are about to get really wild, really fun, and the sanctuary is calling us home in a really big way. So, yay! Blessings, my loves. Have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you inside Sophianic Leap tomorrow. Bye.